Hello, good evening everyone. Hope you're all having a good day. Very good day for racing. Earlier today we were at Spa for the Formula 1 race. If everybody has enjoyed that, well, there is a reprise. Since today we are also racing on Spa for the last event of the Triple Crown Challenge, which is an SSR against MSR showdown in the DPI cars, the GT3 cars on the circuit of Spa. I'm here today joined in the commentary booth by Trouble yet again. Say hello, Trouble.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, how are you?
Doing alright. Have had a good day of enjoying racing, and I think judging by last week and judging by how good Spa is for racing, I think we'll have a good day for racing, a good evening for racing as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can't see why it would be anything less than very enjoyable, so hopefully I'm right.
I do have a couple of usual suspects in the cars. I think most of them are actually the same as last time. But there's a couple of drivers that have switched from GT3 to DPI, and I think the other way around probably as well. I think most notably, third place finisher last time in the GT3s, Dustin, also co-organizer of this event, is currently in the DPI cars, racing for SSR.
Indeed. And Ultimate Kaiser this time is still in the DPIs. So as last time they managed to avoid a direct fight between the two team leaders, as we see a Porsche spinning in the background. Yeah, so they avoided the fight last time. This time, we might get one. You might see who is the better team leader.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important part, to see if Dustin can take it home for SSR. And he looks quite competitive in practice as well, so I don't think Kears is going to have an easy day of it. Yeah, direct confrontation between those two should be interesting. Of course, the DPI class, last time we saw a good fight between Roman, Vroomling and Kears, so it would be great to see a fourth person in the mix there. And the GT3 class, of course, a Veil side last time, extremely quick in there. Today he is here again.
He is in the exact same car. The only person last week who could keep up with him was Mats, if I remember correctly. But he is not here today. He has been replaced by Daylau, I think. Who I think previously drove on the SSR team, but having replaced Mats is now driving for MSR.
That's interesting. Daylau trying to control this Porsche. You see how tough these cars are. They are slower and less powerful between the two, but they are still a handful to control. Daylau keeping it on the tarmac nicely. This is of course the qualifying session, and the times that they set here at the end of the session will count for where they start on the track. Of course, we're expecting the DPIs to be 10 seconds faster, so they'll be the front few, but the GT3s will have their own competition between each other. And that is what Daylau will be focusing on. So you go through Puon and through the SS right thereafter. It's all about keeping the speed, getting a good line for a decent exit. Oh, he slides a lot and goes wide. I'm not sure the game will accept that in a qualifying session. And
no, maybe not, or maybe he's lost enough to where it will count it. But either way, not the fastest way of doing it, and there's a lot of sliding in this lap. So we'll see if he can keep that under control, or whether maybe that's a strategy.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Might have to do another lap after this. But interestingly, the first few lap times are coming in for the DPI class, and we've got Dustin in pole position with a 2:02.9. I think people can go faster than that, but currently Vroomling's set of time isn't faster. Keys same story. Roman is very far off, so I don't think he had a representative lap there. But the first hit then for SSR, Dustin on provisional pole. See Cuckoo in the GT3 last time, I think?
Yes,
in the Nissan
yes,
specifically.
Yeah, the sole Nissan of last week, and now having switched to the DPI cars.
Yeah, apparently. Well, I think she likes the Nissan, so I don't think that was the problem. Ooh, DPI is also a handful, and it resets the pits. That is of course possible, and the smart thing, honestly, because when you're in the middle of the track, you don't want to stop people from setting a track. You are not ghosted; people can still hit you.
Very dangerous.
Well solved. Abel also in P3, so having set a decent lap time. Cavalo P4. Cavalo we do know from if you watch my channel quite a bit, there's a classic driver classic day racing series, which will actually finish this Tuesday. I promise. He's always on pace there, and he's on pace too today. Faster than Key is right now, but the gap is not that big, and I think there is a lot more to find for both drivers. So we'll see as Cavalo comes across the line.
And Dustin does an even faster lap, so not letting up, definitely more time to find. Yeah. In the meantime, we also have the GT3s to go through. So Valeside, as we said before, in pole. But then Alan Fry, who was very impressive last week, so far in second. Was Emil in the GT3s last week? Or I can't remember.
Was he here last week at all? I'm not sure. Yeah. He's here now
I don't remember either, but either way, he's doing well, currently in third in the GT3 class. And then followed up, well, he was third. Svi has just beaten that to put himself into third. And then, so Eddie is now fifth, and none of the other GT3s have set a time yet. So we'll see how that develops as this qualifying session progresses.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because there's only 2 DPI drivers that haven't set a time. It's Michael and Nismo, but the rest of the people that haven't set a time are all GT3 drivers. So they're getting up to a slow start. I'm not sure if that's what they want, but regardless, the only time that matters, of course, is the fastest time you set. And given that the track evolves, gets better over time, it will likely be at the end of the session. So there's no problems yet, but if you leave it too late, you can cause yourself some issues, for example, with traffic.
So now 2 more GT3 drivers have just set a time. Mozzie, who's put himself into second, followed up by Gerald, who's now put himself into second, and Arderick, who is 8th currently, although that might be an outlap, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it doesn't look representative, could very well be an outlap indeed, but we'll be pushing for another one, sure about that. Yeah, looks to shape up interestingly there. The gap between Gerald and Valeside, though, is pretty big. Valeside has a very good grasp on the GT3 cars and seems more confident than the rest with it. We're looking currently at Nismo, who hasn't set a time yet, will set a time right now. Or maybe it wasn't valid. No, there it is.
It was,
P10.
there we go. Into 10th. Currently only Cuckoo behind them, and have gone immediately back into the pits. So let's hope they can improve. And I see them coming out again, which may suggest damage if they've immediately pitted and come back out again. So
that's all fuel.
Yeah, that or fuel. So either they're running very low fuel, or they might have made a mistake and compromised their run.
I think it's quite common. In F1 you see it a lot in real life, but in EMS2 as well. You fuel up for like 3 laps, you set your banker lap, you try to set a quick lap after that. Or you have like, having 3 laps also means you can back off the first one if you don't think it's good and go for the second one. And then you immediately reset the pits and you can immediately drive out and try again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No need for an in-lap here.
Yeah, no need for that. And it's a bit, you know, it's still sim racing, but it's not real. It can't hurt you. Yeah, Dustin still in
I don't know.
DPI.
So, some direct drive drivers might disagree with you there.
Oh yeah, true. No, that can actually hurt you if you crash. So it's safety, we can say. Now I was looking, Roman has now actually set a time, but it is not faster than Roonlink. still in P3. And is being held up maybe a little bit by the GT3 car and will abandon the lap. A little bit of disapproving flashing. And he's in fact reset the pits. Yeah, Abo still 4th. Kiers is still in 6th though. Expected them maybe to be with Roomlink with Roman, but no 203 for him so far. Hopefully he can improve. We'll have a very nice battle at the front. Dustin looks dominant though. Very good time.
Very good time. Only it was their second lap effectively.
Yeah.
And very strong. 8/10 ahead of second place Roonlink, who won last week. So very solid. We still have 2 people who haven't set a time, by the way.
2 people who haven't set a time. Well, let's look at those 2 bozos, Delau and Michael.
Yes,
they are.
Delau in the pits, Michael seemingly on their first lap. So soon we might have all of the DPIs having set a time. And Delau has just come out of the pits, so it's only a matter of time before they set a time as well.
Ooh,
oh no,
they've mistake.
They've messed up the last corner. Might still count, but very, very slow time.
Yeah, and the tires will not be good, because another very significant thing that has happened between the last race and this race is that last Tuesday, the update dropped. The long-awaited 1.5 AMS2 update has dropped, and it is equally as glorious as it is buggy. There's still some bugs, unfortunately, but it is very good. All the cars have changed a lot. Most of them are better to drive, according to most drivers. But there's also a big risk, and we'll be looking at that today. We'll probably be seeing the effects of it, namely that locking up your tires completely and utterly destroys them. It is harder to lock up your tires, you have better grip on them, braking is more reliable, but if you do make a mistake, and it will feel like a mistake this time, you will feel it for a very long time.
It will hurt.
yeah. Until the next time you box, it will absolutely ruin your performance. Your wheel will shake because of the force feedback from the vibrations, from the flat spot. It's all very realistically simulated, I think. I'm not a real driver. So it should be interesting to see how that changes things, and some other drivers may derive from some benefit from that if they are better on the tires, for example.
Yeah, an interesting bug with the lockups is if you lock up for long enough, you effectively get a puncture without getting a puncture, in that it puts the tire pressure to 0.
Essentially, you don't have a tire anymore.
Yeah, well, you do still have the tire, but it acts for all of the changes which you would have by changing the tire pressure. It does those to the extreme, so it ends up not driving very well at all, and it can give you quite a bumpy ride.
Yeah, so
hopefully that won't happen to anyone today, as if they don't pit after that, they would end up losing a lot of time. But then, either way, it would force them to pit. So if it's not if it happens and they're a bit unlucky with the timing, they could lose a lot.
Yeah, and if you, for example, lock up for Lasures during a lap, your 2 minutes 5 lap might turn into a 2 minutes 15 lap. You will really want to box after that. It can be extremely bad. We do see Udela being overtaken by 2, I think it's Kies and Roonlink. I mean, not exactly
happy with going off the track.
But yeah, that is always going to be difficult when you have 2 different classes qualify at the same time. You will have to weave your way through the traffic, and that will not always go so well. At least the drivers will not have any damage from that and are able to continue. But they will have to think about the fuel. They'll be able to set another lap provided they have the fuel.
Yes. Interestingly, Roonlink has got 3/10 closer to Dustin, but that is not nearly enough to take pole. Cafalor has got much closer to Abo. They are now only 200ths off. And likewise with Cuckoo, who is only 100th off of Ultimate Kaiser. Having previously been in 11th in the DPI class, they are now up to 7th.
Yeah, excellent improvement, and the DPI class does again look very close to each other. Hopefully that will translate into very good battles for the race. Roman, while he was saying all of that, also got extremely close to Runelink without actually passing him. A gap now under 0.2 of a second, a little over 1/10 in fact. So,
yeah, had Runelink not previously improved their time, they would have been overtaken. So it shows you how close it is.
Yes, indeed, and we'll see what Kiese and Runelink are planning here. Normally it's not advised to start a lap so close together, unless Kiese is trying to give a wonderful slipstream through the down the Campbell Straight. It will be in the
You would
same
think
voice
that's
chat.
a bit closer than necessary. Yes, I think they are in the same voice chat.
Yeah, they would be in the same voice chat, so they will be able to communicate to each other. And so this has to be like a plan, right? Surely this is not an accident.
Surely. Well, we'll see. Does Ultimate Kaiser pull over at the end of the straight?
And that's
Yes,
exactly
he
what he
does.
does.
That must have been planned.
Running getting a big old slingshot down the Camel Straight. Hopefully that wasn't off track, because that would have immediately ruined it. He's still going, so I think that was fine. He's absolutely pushing though, and really trying to dethrone Dustin, and it's starting to look like a team effort here, because I think they really want an MSR pole position today.
Yeah, previously the MSR guys were not comfortably ahead, but still multiple of them in the first few positions last week. And now they've been forced to actually up their game and work together, or they're not going to have a chance.
Absolutely, but it should be very interesting. And what else is interesting? GT3 class, Veilside looked untouchable last time, looked untouchable earlier, and now has actually been beaten by Alan as it stands. But the gap is tiny. Alan is ahead.
Very small.
By, what is it, 77 thousandths of a second? Basically,
Yes.
blink and you miss it.
Yeah, they're really close, and then you drop more than a second back to Gerald, just behind, in third position. So both of those two, Alan and Veilside, on another level. As we see Runelink, big slide. Very big slide.
That's a huge mistake, and that turns what could have been a pole lap into not even an improvement. That is tragic, I think, and he will not be happy with that. And the worst thing is, he doesn't have time for another lap. He is in the pits now, and P2 is going to be the best he's going to get.
Roman is now likely their best chance, the MSR's best chance, at a pole position. Although we also have Ultimate Kaiser and Fennec, who's moved up to 4th on another lap as well. So, potential improvements, but big improvements needed to take pole from a mighty Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin looking extremely strong. Roman crossing the line. No improvement. So we'll have to go again, but he's got one more shot at it. And so will Kaiser. Fennec and Ebo are in the pits right now. Everybody that's currently in the pits will not be able to improve. We're seeing two of them in GT3 and quite a few in DPI already not able to improve. So wherever they stand now is the best they're gonna get. Kaiser could still move all of them down. Everyone that's ahead of him can lose a position to him. Kaku is still driving. She will also be able to improve perhaps. And Dustin is no longer improving. He has just pitted, and 202.6 will indeed be the target for Roman and Kaiser to beat.
Interestingly, a lot of the DPIs are in the pits. However, most of the GT3s are still on laps. So, potential big changes in that category.
We'll have to keep an eye out after we see...
As we speak, Cafalor up to second. Just barely beating out Runelink and half a second off of Dustin.
That makes it an SSR front row as it stands. And surely, as an MSR team... Oh, but that's a big mistake from Roman. I was going to say, you hope that Roman gets in between those, but that's not going to happen with a mistake like that. I think it's over for MSR, unless Kaiser can do something.
Yeah, he's backed off. also being held up by one of the GT3s, and that was all of their chance gone.
Well, what is
Only
Kaiser
Kaiser left, and maybe Cuckoo.
Kaiser
With a big drift, though.
big drift
and
entering
needing to gain a
sector
2.5. So, this is looking unlikely.
Unlikely. We'll need to gain a second to get ahead of Capelor. That's already a super big ask, but surely there's more in it for him than 1.5 seconds off the pace of Dustin. Surely there is more. We'll see very, very soon as he gets to the bus stop chicane. Navigates that very nicely. No big slides. Get on the throttle. Stay in the straight line. What's he gonna do? And it's not even an improvement of position. No, P8 it will be. Cuckoo has beaten Kaiser. In fact, Cuckoo is
has
done.
Finished their lap. So they overtook Kaiser, but not enough to gain any more positions.
And GT3 looks interesting. Alan Fry has beaten Veilside. Veilside would not be able to improve. JJ, just a big improvement to P3 of the class. And Gerald Smith following. I think that is an entire series basically dominated by SSR right now.
This is a complete reversal of last week.
Yeah, absolutely. SSR showing up with their strongest driver, Cavalier and Dustin taking the front row of the DPI class, and Alan Fry, organizer, along with Dustin, taking pole position in the GT3 class. So basically they organized their own pole positions, and I respect it.
Effectively, yes. However, MSR didn't half make it hard for them. Well, maybe with the exception of Dustin. So they definitely earned their positions.
Yeah, absolutely. They fought for it. And the result is right there. Dustin all the way on top. Cavalier close behind. For the GT3s, Alan Fry and Veilside will be starting from the front. And will be a manual start. Similar to last time. We'll have the first driver taking off when the lights go out. And the rest will follow slowly. They will be behind each other until the start of Sector 3, I believe, where they are allowed to go double file. The person that's leading, the person in P1, so it'll be your Dustin and every odd number, so Runelink, Fennec will all go to the right, so they are on the inside for La Source, and the rest will be on the left. And the GT3 will take a bit of a gap and do the same behind them. That is the plan. As a quick rundown, then I've got a little bit of time remaining until we really start. We've got Dustin in pole position for DPI, followed by Cavalier. Runelink close behind will not be happy with that, but Roman behind will have a chance to fight there. Fennec, again, another MSR driver, followed by Abo. We've got Cuckoo. Kaiser, maybe somewhat disappointing, further back than last time. Nismo, Carlos, Xaviers, and then Michael is last in that group. Then for GT3, we've got Alan Fry taking pole position away from Veilside, who looked so untouchable last time. JJ in third, followed by Gerald Schmid. We've got Eddie behind. Svi in sixth. Mossy in seventh. Fat Scout in the summer body in P8. And we've got Emil in P9, Binding in P10, Daylau in 11th, and Arderick start from last on the grid. And as they start, it is a calm start because we are setting up for a manual rolling start. Why the DG3s aren't moving at all, they need to keep a little bit of space.
Yeah, they will drop back a little bit before they start, just to give plenty of room for something to go wrong, I guess, in the DPIs. I mean, we hope not, but it could always happen, and then they need some time for it to clear up before the leaders of the GT3s come through.
Yeah, we'll be following a speed limit set by the organizers. They slowly get up over Rouge, you can't really see it from the trackside. There they are. Yeah, the GT3 is just taking a bit of space as instructed. And they were told they might want to take a little more space compared to last race, even though it was like already, I think, 3 seconds. But Dustin did indicate, as he does in his briefing, that he wanted a little bit more space. We see Michael lagging a bit behind though, and Alan Fry close behind Michael. Of course, the fortunate thing is that because it's both the organizers leading the packs, we'll probably get a very clean start. They will know how to lead it through. They thought of this, so this should work out well.
Yeah, well, we'd hope so.
We will hope so, otherwise we complain very, very loudly.
Yeah. Well, and they'll be kicking themselves because they can't exactly break their own rules.
I mean, they can. There's no force in the universe to stop them, but
yeah,
it will be incredibly silly.
Yeah, they can, but then, you know, that's not a good idea.
We will name them and shame them if they do.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We might not have time to do that. There might be so much action that we can't stop and have time to do that.
I will find a way. Every moment of downtime, every second that nothing happens, we will name them and shame them. But I think we will be fine, and hopefully that will be the case. And, yes, a lot of manual organizing today. Also, safety cars will be done by the organizers, so if at any time the cars start to slow down, then that is what we are looking at. I know Nismo has a very nice graphic for it that I don't have, but maybe I need to hit him up for that sometime. No. Yeah, it should be alright for today though. We'll just note it when we figure that cars are not going as fast as they maybe should. And the GT3 class, Alan in front, keeping this pack nicely organized. And they will also be going double file soon enough. Not exactly sure where they decided. There will be somewhere in Sector 3, which we are currently in, leading up to Blanchimont for the GT3 drivers. DPI drivers are a little bit ahead.
Yeah, DPI is slowly pulling away, forming a bit of a gap to the GT3s behind. And we'll be going green in, well, not very long, as we're about to reach the last few corners.
Yeah, no overtaking until start finish for them, so until Dustin's number behind his name on the left there's a lap 2, they will not be allowed to overtake. Going through the last chicane, Cavallor on the outside for La Source. Dustin will be waiting. Let everybody catch up a little bit and will go from the line.
And
there he goes.
There we go.
There's a very good start from Dustin, and
Dustin with an amazing start.
Rulink looking on the inside there of Cavallor, but just not enough there, and we'll have to settle for third. Very clean start on the DPI side, I think. Kiesa has maybe dropped a little bit. P10 now. For the rest, it looks fine. The Veil side in GT3, though, seems to have lost position to JJ.
Yes. Although, as we see, right behind JJ, who is in turn right behind Alan, so Slipstream down here could change it. Well, in any way, they could lose positions, they could gain positions, they could revert to what they were at the start of the race. We'll just have to see. Veilside looks up the inside, but decides not to go for it.
He just had a little sniff, but nothing there. JJ keeping it very cool and actually looking more forwards than he is rearwards right now. Very close to Alan right now, and Alan will have to be careful as well. Go through Speaker's Corners where mistakes are very easily made. That gravel is closer than you think when you go through it. And then through Puan, I think Alan is already pulling away just a tiny little bit. Oh, and it's very, very wide from JJ.
Goes very wide. Have we also already lost a GT3? Because I thought that there was 12 to begin with, and we appear to only have 11.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. I'm not sure who we've dropped. I think we've lost one of the MSR drivers. But, yeah, looks like we lost one, unfortunately.
And it looks like that might be the case. We will probably figure it out later who it is, or, well, maybe we'll completely forget. We'll have to see.
Looking at the timings for the DPI, the top, Dustin's walked away from everything. Very close, actually, from Vilside. Vilside very close behind JJ. It's looking like a move shaping up already here, maybe? Looking on the inside.
Well,
that's a move for Vilside. They are side by side through the chicane. There's a little bit of contact.
Bump a little.
But they leave each other just enough space. And Vilside around the outside will have better traction, you would think. On the curbs, maybe not so much, but still side by side. It is not over. And JJ will have to defend. Vilside on the inside of Lassource, though, will have the better line. Maybe a little bit deep and a switchback opportunity. No, JJ stays behind. But up Eau Rouge and the Campbell Strait, there is still every opportunity to come back. So Vilside is not clear yet. After that, it should be fine, though. It's just a little bit more to hold on. But JJ is so close. It is nothing between these cars. I think Vilside had just slightly better run up Eau Rouge, slightly better speed. As a result, the slipstream will not pull you that far, I think. And
no,
JJ
not
looking,
in these cars.
But yeah, he's looking.
It looks around the
outside.
Vilside not giving him an opportunity there, though.
Yeah, Vilside takes P2 away from JJ. Only had to relinquish it for a lap.
Meanwhile, just behind, they were side by side, but appears to have resolved itself.
Eddie, I think, staying ahead of Svi then.
Yeah, there is also a bit of a gap forming back from Gerald. They are following quite closely in the top four, but then Eddie definitely having to defend from Svi and potentially losing quite a bit of time due to that.
We've got a couple of packs forming then. And,
yeah.
I think it's looking at the timings of the DPI. I think we're looking at a similar story there. Everything between Cavallor and Nismo, I think very close. Oh, Keizer actually carving through the field a little bit. P10 earlier.
Sorry to sort of cut you off there, but they were side by side for, I think, the whole of, well, at least around Blanchimont they were. And then, had to see if Keizer could get that sign sent and delivered. So he does appear to have managed it, and he will be back on the chase for Nismo, who has gone from, I want to say, 9th up to 6th. So very good improvement from him.
Yeah, Nismo, similarly good start, has a little bit of gap to Keizer, but Keizer can push this car. But we'll see. I think the DPI class will not be decided so quickly in this race, because we will be looking at things like tire wear. The fuel situation in these cars is still really difficult, and they're looking at least 2 stops. Oh, but that's a big mistake. I think
Nismo.
Roman, or is it Nismo?
No, that was Nismo. That was Nismo who has just spun off. Of course, we have to compliment him, and then he just decides to bin it. Had to prove us wrong.
And that's why you don't listen in on the broadcaster stream, because we'll mention your name. You'll be like, oh, that's me, and then, whoa, don't do that.
And well, so far Dustin slowly pulling away, but Cavallor keeping him somewhat honest, not far ahead of RuneLink, but also not dropping too far behind Dustin. Whereas in the GT3 side, Alan is now 3 seconds away from Vileside, and actually appears to be pulling away.
Alan really having good pace there. Vileside, of course, being held up a little bit by JJ earlier, but now that he's ahead, should hopefully be able to match the pace a little bit, and it will be even better if he is able to reel Alan Fry in. It will be a little bit more of a normal race, though. I think there's more potential for chaos in the DPI class, as a Bo, I think, is extremely close behind Ultimate Keizer.
Looking to do the same thing as Ultimate Keizer did, but thinks better of it and backs off maybe even a bit more than I would have thought necessary. He has lost a little bit of time there. Probably unlikely to manage any sort of dive bomb. But meanwhile, they are very close up ahead. A very tight train of Cavallor, RuneLink, Roman, and Fennec.
And this is looking like the big battle today. I think they're very similar pace. Dustin just a little bit faster, but you do see people like Roman faster individually on this lap, but he's stuck behind a couple of cars, of course. That doesn't matter so much. And you also have...
bit of a bump there from Runelink. Messes up Kaflor slightly, but Runelink is the one that ends up going off.
Yes, lets him go, and as a result, Kaflor actually has a bit of distance, assuming no damage to his car. I think that actually benefited him a little bit, so that is fair in that sense. Runelink will have to keep it cool, calm, and collected, and catch it back up again. Well, asking in the chat, what do we have? These are DPIs, I believe. Was it? I think it's like Daytona prototype, something that they are called.
Daytona prototype. I can't remember what the I stands for. Let's see.
I think the I stands for incredibly cool, because they are incredibly cool to watch.
Very possible.
Yes.
Although I have a feeling it might be international, despite it mostly being US, because they have a habit of doing that in America.
It would not be surprising. The international grade, maybe, whatever they like to use as an excuse for that. But yeah, as it stands, Runelink having to defend from Roman as well, trying to catch up to Kaflor, but will not have time for that. Kaflor actually getting closer to Dustin, it seems. Let's see what the times say. That's a little bit.
Yeah, 2/10 closer, so a little bit. Interestingly, Runelink, Roman, and Fennec, I think, are all on the same team, so we'll have to see if they try and work together or if they're just going to fight.
Well, at this stage, they are allowing Kiesa, their other teammate, to also catch up. They said 2:05s earlier, which isn't fast enough to keep up with the top two drivers. It's going to be interesting. And somebody's asking to look at Gerald Schmidt, because apparently there's a small gap over there.
Very well. Yes,
I do see there's a big...
Yes, the gap to Svi behind has opened up a lot. Previously, Svi was second in the second group of GT3s, but they appear to have dropped a lot further off than they were before. Meanwhile, Gerald has gained on JJ, so potentially a new fight in the upcoming laps.
Yeah, and I do notice that we have lost Fatskout in the summer body, who was P6, I believe, right behind Svi, now down to P11, and quite a gap to the drivers ahead. Also, I think we have a little bit of bug with a couple of drivers. For instance, Gerald Schmidt, where the delta isn't correct. 2 or 3 seconds desync for him.
Well, that's a lot better than Alan Fry last week, who was a good 10 to 20 seconds out, if you remember.
Yeah, that was disastrous, but this is at least a little bit better.
Effectively, it kept causing us to be trolled by the timing screen.
Yeah, we had to check a couple of times, but today should be a little bit easier. I think there's only a few people with issues. I think Eddie also has a small desync issue, but hopefully that's not too big either. Gerald very close to JJ. JJ was in P2 earlier, but since losing that hasn't kept up with the leaders Vilside and Alan Fry. And Fry still well in P1, building a nice little gap for himself. Vilside trying to get closer the best he can, but it's looking very difficult for him today. JJ dropping off and having to deal with Gerald behind.
Interestingly, last week it was consistently Porsches towards the front, with the exception of Alan. Whereas this time, Alan being in the McLaren, maybe the McLaren suits Spa better than Daytona. So maybe he's suddenly, effectively, maybe he was driving as well as Valeside was last race, but couldn't do anything due to the car difference. And maybe now it's roles reversed.
Yeah, it seems quite interesting, although I do happen to know Alan Fry is a very, very strong driver, very fast. I think a lot of that is also shining through. Now that maybe he's very happy with the car, probably. If you're driving that well, you tend to be very happy with the setup and everything, and things seem to go very well. As it stands, a straight up fight though for P3, and I'm seeing the light starting to dim, sun starting to set. We are 10 minutes into this race. Of course, the time is accelerated, hence why it's starting to get dark. We don't have to think about strategy yet for the GT3 cars. I think they will do half a race easily. But the DPIs in about 20 minutes might start to go in.
Maybe. We saw last time that they could maybe do a 2-stop if they did a lot of fuel saving, so we'll have to see whether there's a similar sort of issue or strategy, or whether they can do 2 stops easily.
Yeah, could you switch to a room link, because it looks like it's called up to Cafalor again. I'm not sure if that's the timing sheet.
No, he has done it. He has gained... No. The last 2 laps consecutively have been 0.2 quicker, so... And, oh, wow, a half a second quicker this time round. So Cafalor maybe with a small mistake and giving RuneLink a much better opportunity this time round.
Yeah, it looks like he is struggling, but the gap is very small, and up to Camel Straight we will see the effects of the slipstream on these cars, and I suspect that will be a lot bigger than in the GT3 cars. RuneLink maybe proving that already in this instance. Cafalor will have to hold on for dear life to P2. RuneLink on the outside.
Looking around the outside didn't work quite so well last time he tried it, but maybe with a little better line. Cafalor going very defensive, and at least...
But is that Dale out?
Yeah. That
nice overtake.
That is Dale out. You are indeed correct. And yeah, in the meantime, RuneLink getting a better run and diving it up the inside.
Yeah, RuneLink taking advantage of a little distraction there. It's like, is that Glock moment right there? But yeah, RuneLink...
Unfortunately, they're not the same class. Otherwise, it would be, is that Ant Carlos or something along those lines.
No misfortune to Ant Carlos, I think, but...
no, luckily.
Nah. Very nice overtake from RuneLink there, and Cafalor looks to be struggling already in the clutches of Roman, and Roman will also have a chance to overtake very soon. Have a couple of chances, in fact. So Cafalor, maybe he had a lock-up, maybe he has some other issues he's dealing with. Doesn't look so comfortable anymore.
No, or maybe it's just the pressure. They were doing very well, but one slip up, and when you drop back into the clutches of someone else, you've got all the pressure of defending from them, as well as having to drive, well, very fast, frankly, to keep up with Dustin, or everyone here is a very high caliber of driver, so there's no easy way around it.
Absolutely, and RuneLink is able to keep up the pace with Dustin, although last lap maybe not so much, 4 tenths behind on that occasion. But he will try to catch up, and he will need to, because he's finally unleashed from behind Cafalor, and it's good time to prove he's able to take the win home again for MSR, of course winning the last race, and will look for a repeat today.
Yeah, meanwhile, a lot of MSR guys not too far behind, including Roman, who was very close to winning last week, if you remember, but ran out of fuel just before the end, so he will be gunning for that, at least a top 3, if not a win.
Yeah, it would absolutely be a very good goal for him. I'm starting to see RuneLink not exactly running away from the pack. He looked to be for a little bit, but maybe he's also feeling the tire wear sending him wide a couple of places. I don't know what Dustin is doing with his tires, but whatever he's doing it very well.
I'll quickly have a look at some other close battles. There is Xevious and Michael. They are not too far apart, although they appear to have dropped slightly further back than they were a moment ago. I'm going to check where... Okay, Gerald is 1-2 seconds-ish behind JJ. The timing screen not exactly making that easy to tell exactly where they are. And then a bit further behind... Binding also appears to have some sort of desync, as he is a lot more than the 1 second suggested off. And now Roman, unfortunately, appears to have dive-bombed Cafalor into the final chicane, but Cafalor has the inside for La Source.
Yeah, we'll have to defend here, stay on the inside. There's a couple of GT3s ahead that we'll have to worry about. And
yes, it is Fatscat and Summerbody and Ardwick, who will... They're side by side, but will have to get out of the way of the two DPIs quickly catching up to them.
They don't have to get out of the way, but they... Ooh, maybe they should, because this is violent.
Well, have to get out of the way as far as they need to let them through. They don't need to back off to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But Roman actually going through with Fennec.
And Fennec joining him. Both got a very good run. Cafalor may be losing some momentum going up Radion, but yeah, has given Roman and Fennec the chance they needed. However, Cafalor is not far off of Fennec, so we could soon see a fight back.
Yeah, Cafalor not exactly comfortable. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. But whatever is going on, I think the tire wear, if he's got a lockup or two under his belt, then the tires will be diabolical. It'll be very hard to keep up with the drivers ahead. A 2:05.6 from him last time is not exactly fast. Someone who is fast, Dustin with a 2:04.2. 4/10
very well
than
done from
behind.
Dustin. Ultimate K's are not doing too badly either, at least gaining on Cafalor, but not to the same level as Runelink or Dustin ahead. Or even Fennec that lap, who was only 1/10 off of Runelink.
Yeah, Key's not showing the pace that he had last time. In a straight up battle between the team captains, Dustin is very far out in front. So Key's doing his own race, as you would do. We'll be looking at Cafalor. I think that is a very good goal for him, and you can actually see Kies already behind. It will be a
gaining quite
future.
fast, potentially aided by the fight, but also the traffic, as Cafalor has a 2:08, so not very good lap at all, and that would be not entirely sure who's spinning out.
Whatever it is, that's very convenient of a time to be doing that. No big issues there.
That does appear to have given Cafalor a bit more breathing room, as he has gained back up to Fennec.
Yes, that will be nice for him, but I doubt that it will last that much. Kiesa has absolutely suffered from that though, and we'll have to catch back up. But we will save that for later. Meanwhile, in the GT3 class, Alan Fry 5, 6, 7 seconds ahead for Veilside. Their pace, though, out equal. Veilside actually a little bit faster last lap, 2/10. But I doubt that is very consistent. JJ and Gerald Smith still behind. It's hard to say what their gap is.
I think Alan Fry might have a little bit of desync, as with me counting, the gap appears to be 4 to 5 seconds rather than the 7, 8 suggested. So maybe a little bit of desync, so slightly further apart than we thought, or slightly closer than we thought, sorry, but still noticeably ahead of Veilside, driving very well. Although Veilside last lap slightly faster, we'll have to see about this lap.
Yeah, well, I'm tempted to agree actually. I was counting, it's about 4 seconds. That is absolutely something you can beat in pit stops. So these two...
Yeah, so Alan Fry saying a very similar 2-minute 16.2. Veilside going a 10th faster again with a 2-minute 15.9. So slowly gaining back up to Alan.
Yeah, and that gap looks like it's going to continue closing in a couple of laps, and they will be together, and might be in the pistol phase then. So this could go either way. It's very interesting to see how that McLaren will hold on against that Porsche. I'm curious to see though what the actual, real, genuine gap is between Geralt and JJ. Although I suspect it's larger than I think it is currently.
Larger or smaller than you think?
I think it's larger than I think. I'm thinking like 1 or 2 seconds, but it's probably like 3 or 4.
No, yeah, I think it's about 4.
Well, let's have a look. Let's see what they're doing.
Well, do we need to like figure out a point to measure where both of them are on track or something?
Well, I currently can't see either of them. That's my point. Is let's look at them on the cameras.
Yes. Well, we are currently looking at Alan. Vale side is the car behind, although you can mostly just see the lights. Or maybe not the, not quite the car behind. No, it is. Sorry, I was confusing them for a DPI. But yes, so the car behind the Porsche is Vale side, and we are currently looking at Alan.
Yes.
While we were speaking, Dustin appears to have made a mistake. He's set a 2 minutes 6.2 and has dropped over a second back to Runelink, who's now only 1.6 seconds back.
Oh, it looks like he bleeds. Means we can kill him. Let's see if in the future that will amount to something.
Yeah, he's not undefeatable, but he's still out of touching distance of Runelink for the time being.
Absolutely.
Actually, I will quickly change to the battle between Caffel and Fennec, as they appear to have, they temporarily switched positions going through the bus stop, and they are back in the fight together. Caffel just behind, but with the Camel Straight coming up, could be another change of position.
Yeah, what I'm noting is that Fennec has lost a lot of time to Roman. I think Fennec making a couple of mistakes, maybe in the same lack of comfort level as Caffel, and Caffel around the outside then on the Camel Straight side by side, setting up for the outside of Les Combes, and he's actually already ahead.
He is. Fennec keeping looking down the inside though, maybe thinking of a move, but not going for it. So he will sit just behind Caffel for the time being.
Fennec will be looking for a re-overtake, but it's going to be very difficult to do. Sector 2 is not exactly an overtaking sector. That's just why you try to survive and do what you can to stay close. There's a couple of places where you could try it, but Pouhon is definitely not one of them. Caffel goes wide. Fennec is still there, able to benefit from any mistake that Caffel makes. Caffel is still doing all right. They're getting to Sector 3, and that's where moves could be made. So I think they are catching up to a Vale side very soon. Well, yeah, that's Vale side right there.
Yes, they are currently lapping Vale side.
That's a big mistake.
Caffel going very deep on the exit and giving Fennec the position. He has
gone into the pits very early.
Yes, he has decided to pit. He definitely went deep first, but maybe turning it into a quick strategy call to try and not lose too much time.
Absolutely, but it could be interesting. Maybe his tyres are just so far gone that he decided, I need to pit now. They're also going deep as he did will not have helped him. Yeah,
very true.
Also the gap between Vale side and Alan Fry, as I believe whoever we were just watching was just in between that.
Yes, that would be Ultimate Kaiser. So Ultimate Kaiser coming up to lap Alan Fry, already having lapped Vale side. Currently splitting the two with I want to say something like 6-second gap, but as ever we can't quite tell with the timing screens.
It's very, very difficult to tell sometimes. But yeah, what we can tell now is that Gerald Sweeney may have made a mistake. A 2:19.4 would have dropped back from JJ to the point that even his timing now says he's behind. Would
Yes, he was previously, a few seconds back, but the timings screen said he was. I think I remember it being 4 seconds ahead, whereas now it has indeed changed to where they are, well, effectively side by side, despite them very much not being side by side.
In fact, he's a lot closer to being side by side with Svi, who's right on his tail.
Yes. So Svi coming up just behind Gerald. Gerald, having made the mistake, at least showing that they do have pace. So if they haven't ruined their tyres, which they may well have.
Oh, that's very wide from Svi.
As we say that, it doesn't matter. Svi going on the gravel and giving up all chances they had of an overtake.
It's very, very disappointing for him. Keza now in the pits. We will
see where they come out compared to Kaflor, who in the pits dropped to 11th. Abo also in the pits.
We're starting to see the first stops, and again, I think the DPI cars will have to look at a 3-stop today, because we are not through a third of the race yet. But a lot of people are already stopping.
So. This time, maybe the fuel is worse than it was at Daytona, and then it would be almost certainly a 3-stop.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
Kaflor
also
having taken their position back ahead of Ultimate Kaiser and Abo, potentially actually having gotten further away from Ultimate Kaiser.
It could very well be that the undercut here is very powerful. Probably the tire wear being a lot more punishing this time around. In the new version of AMS2. I think that's also maybe what's limiting these drivers. Is that what is that? DPI backwards? Yeah, Fennec.
I think yes, it is Xevious.
Xevious. Oh no, Xevious. What happened? Well, he's back
they
on track.
May well have damage with a crash like that, so we may see the 4th DPI going into the pits.
Oh, yeah, well, it looks like damage.
Yeah, probably, as they are definitely losing a lot of time with those spins.
Yeah, it's not what you want, and when you have suspension damage for some bits, it will feel completely fine. Then you go through the corner and you realize you don't have any grip and you're spinning. But yes. He is still going, still driving, and we'll probably be boxing at the end of this lap. That's what we are expecting.
Is potentially another new thing with the new tyre model, is that at least on some cars, once you do lose it and heat up the rear tyres, you struggle to get the grip back again. So they don't correct themselves or go back to normal temperature very quickly. You have to be very careful for longer than you would have previously. At least on some cars. I don't know if that's the case with all cars, but it might well be with these.
Hopefully drivers are also paying good attention. Oh, because see if you just keep spinning it around.
Spin counter number 4.
There will. Oh, there's another.
There's another. Who would that be?
Is that? No, it's not.
That is one of the GT3s. Would that be? I don't know. I have no idea.
Same. But yeah, as it stands, Alan Fry actually with 218.3. I've lost a lot of the time there.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Binding that spun.
Ooh.
As they seem to have dropped very far back, and now Eddie only seconds behind in the other McLaren. Or one of the other McLarens, rather. So they are now, really not very far.
And issue there, maybe distracted.
As expected.
Yeah, Xevious coming home, repairing damage, relaxing a little bit probably. Binding
going a bit wide again, so very well might see a battle between Eddie and Binding if Binding doesn't pick up the pace.
Binding will have it to refocus after the incident, maybe being a little bit distracted by Xevious spinning around. But
And Dustin now
otherwise-
into the pits. Our race leader is into the pits. As
he's
is
in.
Runelink.
I was gonna say, if he's in, I suspect more people will be going in. Roman also going in. Fennec then, can we get 4 Fennec actually keeps going.
For another lap.
And Michael, I think, also hasn't pitted yet. He's currently P5. Cuckoo will also not have pitted yet, I think.
No,
Maybe
they have
wrong
not. No, Cuckoo has not pitted. Obviously, Cafalor has already pitted. Yeah, so Michael now overtaking the pit stoppers, as is Cuckoo. Cafalor the next to do it, but as we know, they already pitted. So we'll see where the current pitters come out compared to Cafalor, who is going along start-finish straight. Dustin exits the pits. Runelink on their way to exit the pits. And Cafalor has come out in between Roman and Runelink.
He's so close, and in fact,
Yeah,
he's
very
overtaken
close.
Roman. The undercut working wonders here.
And now, very good momentum to overtake Runelink. Obviously getting that full run down from the source. And yeah, using it to their very good advantage, already having overtaken Runelink. Although, Runelink looking down the inside.
Oh!
And Cafalor spun.
That's
Oh
an
no.
unforced error, as they say.
And they lose the space to to Roman that they'd just gained with that undercut. So now effectively back to where they were before the pit stops.
It's a very quick 0 to 0. Oh, and it gets worse. No grip on these tires anymore after a slide. They will have to cool down. Kind of have to give them time to go back to operating conditions. Yeah, I was gonna say Cafalor maybe not so much at an advantage because he did stop early, and well, whatever advantage he has had is
It's now
gone
disappeared, yeah.
Yeah, he's catching up to him quickly and will also want to have a shot at it. Kies,
And
of
we have
course,
lost
also-
another GT3, it appears. Unless that might have been a while ago and I missed it, but we're down to 10 GT3s.
Roderick is in the pits now. We still see behind me, so that's he's still enthusiastic enough to drive.
Good to see.
Yeah, very good to see. Yeah, apparently we lost another one. That's very unfortunate.
Fennec in the
Still
pits
top
as
10.
well. Michael coming into the pits. We'll see. And Cuckoo also coming into the pits. So Dustin retaking the lead. And we'll have to see where the others, especially Fennec, who is the lead, in the lead out of the people currently pitting, have to see where they come out.
Yes, and
So Runelink and Roman go past all of them. Fennec still currently in the pits. So, yeah, Ultimate Kaiser and Cafalor currently having a fight. And Fennec is coming out just a second or so behind them.
yeah, Dustin actually with a huge gap towards Dustin. Dustin having
To
gap to
Runelink.
himself. Runelink. 10
10 second
seconds
gap.
now. I think it was like 2 seconds before the pit stop, so he's
Yeah, it was.
absolutely nailed it.
I think it had dropped to 4, but either way, getting away 6 seconds. That's very big. Ultimate Kaiser looking up the inside, but seemed to have clattered the curb a little bit, so couldn't keep the momentum around the corner. And Cafalor staying ahead for now.
Okay, so we'll have plenty of shots, and I think after the early mistakes there, Cafalor's tyres are already compromised, and it will be for the rest of this stint. That's how dangerous slides are now in the new update. But I'm
And
not sure
has
how much
Alan
Cafalor will
Fry pitted? They have dropped to 5th, and I have completely missed it. So either they've made a massive mistake, or they have pitted, as they have dropped half a minute to Valeside, who is now
Well,
currently in the lead of GT3s by 15 seconds.
Well, if he hadn't stopped, that would mean that he would make a 35-second mistake on the last straight.
Yeah, he did
No,
set a 2-minute 51 last lap,
Yeah, no, I think he
so
stopped.
probably pit.
Yeah. Will be an early stop, unless they're doing 2 stops in the GT3 class as well. That is very,
Yeah.
very early.
That is a very early stop. So either they're doing a 2-stop, or well, I don't really see a reason to stop this early if you're planning on a 1-stop. So.
Well, I would think since you're refueling, the undercut isn't that strong. But maybe he had a lock up its tires and thought, you know what, we'll push it forwards a little bit. Oh, and there's a big mistake there from Kaiser.
Ultimate Kaiser. Spinning out, giving Fenix position.
And again, that is not good for the tires. You have to be like absolute gentleman to them. You have to be so kind to them, and they will survive. If you keep having slides, lockups, whatever, they will start going off very fast. That is not good for Kaiser's race.
Yeah, and now a bow only 2 seconds behind Kaiser. So potentially,
fast.
Ultimate Kaiser might be coming under pressure soon if he continues making errors, but otherwise we'll have to see if he can keep it clean.
Yes, and a little bit of gravel there, but I think that's little enough that it doesn't matter so much about still doing a decent, consistent run. Fast in case the last lap as well, though it would have been without the spin. I think he's got chances there for him. Then looking ahead, Cavalo quite a bit behind a Roman who has a decent gap to ruling, so I think the DPI class, decent gaps between everyone. They're
with the exception of Cuckoo and Michael, who are not quite battling, but not far off.
It's 1.5 seconds. I think that's the best we got in the DPI class right now. But
yeah,
yes,
that's not that close, but it's closer than everyone else.
Absolutely, Cuckoo doing a decent job there. Look at the GT3 class. We still have 10 people, so nobody else left over looking away.
Yeah,
Svi,
not yet.
I think Svi is currently ahead of
are
Alan.
very close.
And Alan
and Gerald also not too far ahead, but not quite fighting.
Yeah, and looking at Alan, he's got a 2:21 now. That might be his outlap. As far as a very long track, so it might still be his outlap. I hope that's not his pace, because then he has got a huge problem. Vilside doing 2:17.2. Currently he's in a case where whatever Vilside does, he needs to do better. And I think in a couple of laps we'll get an answer to that. And Carlos, I think, still in the pits for the DPI class. So far that he has fallen behind Vilside. We'll need to overtake him on pace for position.
Yes. Yeah, and Carlos in the pits now, having dropped behind some GT3s, probably has made a quite large mistake to be in the pits for this long.
I think we're looking at an understatement there, Trouble, because
yes,
he's still in
yeah.
there. I think the entire car needs to be replaced.
2 minutes 16 from Alan Fry, so a good second faster than Vileside.
Oh, and that is interesting. That actually, yeah, and Carlos, is he? Yeah, I think he has resigned from the race, and only 11 DPIs left then. Yeah, Alan Fry.
First DPI to leave, though.
First DPI, yeah, that we lost, so doing quite good in survivability there. Yeah, Vilside will have to look at stopping early as well, because this undercut from Alan Fry is working extremely well so far. And actually, it suggests something to me, that this track, actually, this race, is mostly gonna be tire limited. Because while the car of Vilside will be lighter, being later in the stint with less fuel, Alan Fry's got fresh tires with a heavier car and is a second faster. That is
and if you remember
difference.
earlier, they were setting 2-minute 15s every so often on new tyres, and now old tyres they don't seem to be able to set below a 2-minute 17. So yeah, very tyre limited.
Very well be tire limited race, and I think it does raise a question how to go. Is Alan on a 2-stop? Because if it is a tire limited race, and after half an hour he already thought it was too much, is he gonna do a full hour? Is that what we're going to see? Well, I'm not sure.
We'll find out. Yeah, it is Actually, it makes sense that it's a very tyre-limited track, as it's a high-speed track, but there's also a lot of high-speed corners, which it would make sense that you need a lot of grip for those.
I think Pouron alone is argument enough that the tyres need to be very
Pouron,
strong.
Blanchimont, even over Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, Rouge Radion is pretty bad. You've got the I mean, honestly, all of Sector 2 is just a category of destroy your tyres. The SSR for Pouron is also pretty rough if you really push it. Yeah, Alan Friday.
You can see that he has gained 4 seconds on Svi in that last lap, and Svi now within sight.
Yeah, and more troubling, Veilside at 2:18.4. That is a second slower than JJ behind. Veilside's tyres are not holding up at all.
Very true, although they may also have made a mistake if they're losing more than a lot of the other people in the same car who have not also pitted. So a lockup maybe, that would also explain it.
Yeah, well, good news for Veilside would be that when he stops, he will have better tyres than Alan.
Yes, that will be what he's hoping for, is even if Alan gets the undercut, he might have a big pace advantage. Or maybe if he's doing a one-stop, he might just have plenty of time remaining due to not having stopped as early. And Svi having spun. So giving that place to Alan without any sort of fight.
That's I think the best news Alan has seen today. Seeing next driver to hold him up, spun around and not able to hold him up anymore in the future. Will be doing his own race, Alan, and will be very happy to do that. Speaking of pace difference, I'm starting to look at the gap between Roelink and Dustin, and it has dropped by 3 seconds since last time I looked.
Yeah, and the last lap around, Roelink was 1 second faster than Dustin, and as was Roman, who was actually 0.2 faster than Roelink. So the gaps at the front closing up.
Yeah, the DPI lead race may start to become interesting again, as Dustin may be slower this stint. It's lagging behind a little bit in terms of pace, because of lap time. As you see Michael already in the pits for the DPI class. If that's a regular planned stop, that does indicate that he is on a 3-stopper. But
yes,
I
very true.
highly doubt that is the case.
Meanwhile, Veilside proving us completely wrong and saying a 2-minute 16.6 despite being on old tyres. Just decided to play with us, I guess.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what Alan does. Alan did slightly faster still. So Alan will still be completely fine.
Yes, there is no denying that new tyres are faster. It's just that he is definitely not dropping backwards towards JJ anymore.
Just
he
checking.
is sped up by half a second.
Just checking. Is it correct we're currently looking at Svi in the pits?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I'll quickly change. I want to see if he went into the pits, but then I was focused on talking, so I didn't think to change.
Talking and thinking of two very difficult processes to do at the same time.
So JJ has just had a crash. I was going to say he's fallen behind Gerald, not just on the timings, but on track. But I had not seen what happened, and indeed, we see the aftermath. A Porsche in a wall with plenty of front end damage.
And everything is just falling into place for Alan, because that was going to be the next one to hold him up, I believe. And Alan in third already. Only Gerald between him and Veilside.
Yeah, Gerald would have been the next one to hold Alan up.
Okay, JJ was already behind.
Yes.
Oh.
No, JJ was ahead of Gerald.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay, but that's like one less person, I'm still...
Yes. Yeah, it's always one less person to get in the way. And, if their luck holds and they keep having what's happened to both Svi and now JJ, then they'll have a very easy path back towards Veilside.
Yeah, and let's just see Nismo in the pits right now. So a couple of people pitting early, and Veilside is also in the pits right now, and that's going to be interesting. Where's he going to come out?
We'll have to see where he comes out. I'll quickly switch to Alan, so we might be able to see their proximity as Railside exits the pits.
And this is gonna be crucial for the race. Railside will be coming out with fresher tyres though, and we do believe that this race is tyre limited. Alan Fry with a blistering 2 minutes 15.9, setting the timing sheet alight. And past he goes for a virtual first place, still behind Gerald on track, but he is so much faster than him.
And Railside's still in the pits, so either having some sort of damage or just, well, potentially adding a lot more fuel than Alan did.
Not the case, he is out now. I think there is a really big pit stop delta for the GT3s.
Yes, there is.
And Alan had an excellent undercut here. And is currently about, according to the timing sheet, 30 seconds ahead. Which,
although we know that's not quite right.
Yes,
we know that's not quite right. It's probably closer to 20. But bearing in mind there was probably again close to 20 second lead for Railside before going into the pits, that's a big turnaround.
Yeah, we'll have to look at what those lap times are going to be from each of those drivers. If Alan is going to keep up this pace, it's going to be very difficult for Railside to catch up. But later in this stint, if Alan pits again, the whole race is open because he's going to emerge behind Railside. If he doesn't pit again, though, his tyres will be completely wrecked in the last 5 minutes. And we're going to see Railside catch up really quickly. It's going to be exciting, something to look forward to.
And in the meantime, well, JJ pitting obviously because they're damaged, but Binding and Fat Scout and Summer Body also pitting. Makes sense, it's roughly halfway through the race and they can easily manage a one stop, so we can expect more GT3s to be coming in soon.
Yes, gone over halfway through the race, so generally this is when most GT3 cars will be pitting, and a lot of them are doing just that. JJ, of course, having had that crash earlier, so it will be in the pits a little bit longer than most people, I think. Hopefully, he will still be driving at the moment.
As Alan Fry lapping their first other GT3 car. And that would be, yes, that would be Ardwick. Meanwhile, Dustin lapping them again. So, big lead obviously over the GT3s for all of the DPIs. But, yeah, Dustin, 2 minute 4.1 last lap, so keeping that gap more or less stable.
Yeah, well, last lap, he's getting it back to the 10 seconds he had. 7 seconds is gone now, Running is a bit further away. Still faster than Roman though, so they appear to be in a stable position up there, the top three. And if nothing changes between the pace of those, I don't think we'll be seeing too much changing, but anything can happen still in terms of strategy. The DPI cars just don't go as long on a full tank as the GT3 cars. We'll keep an eye on that for sure. Some Kiers has good pace though compared to Fennec and Cavallor ahead. In fact, he roughly matches Roonink in fact, but he's got 3 seconds ahead still to make up. And we've seen a couple of mistakes from him. Hopefully this time around it will stay consistent and he will be able to bring the fight to Fennec.
Yeah, indeed, he gained a second last lap, and with 3 more seconds to gain on Fennec, who we see is just up the road, that is a quickly closing gap, at least for the time being. Meanwhile, Fennec also gained 3/10 on Cavallor last lap, although that gap is a bit larger at currently just over 4 seconds. I'll make that just under 4 seconds.
Well, that gap will continue to evolve. I have a decent chance of Cavallor later, perhaps. Roonink and Dustin matching each other in terms of lap time. 2:04s from both of those drivers. Roman dropping back a decent chunk. 2:06.4 from him.
Yeah, Cafalor gaining on Roman that last lap, and Fennec just slightly slowing Cafalor as well. Ultimate Kaiser slightly slower again, so managed to gain what was it, 2-minute 05 one lap,
Yes.
and then has dropped nearly 2 seconds on the next lap.
Oh, a bit of a shocker there. 209 is not what you want to see. I'm not sure if it was these cars last time around, where the times looked very inconsistent, very up and down, and it seems to be the same again today.
It was, however, that was due to fuel saving. So maybe they're doing a lot of fuel saving, but I would have thought that they'd leave that for later in the race.
I would have thought that as well, but maybe they've practiced a lot more and realized we need to start fuel saving earlier, and maybe that's how they're going to get us. Ooh. Yeah, that will have saved a little bit of fuel since you can't go full throttle when you like that. But losing a bit of time to Ultimate Kaiser for sure. Let's see if Kaiser is actually able to finish the job later, catch up, get past, and continue. Meanwhile, Gerald Smith still hasn't boxed.
Yeah, and losing a second to 2 seconds a lap. At least in the last few laps. So as it becomes morning, he still has not pitted. Maybe hoping for a very fast last stint, but effectively doing the opposite of Alan. As Alan, well, locking up there seemingly, going a little bit deep, but Alan had a very short first stint and could at least possibly do a long last stint, and as we speak about that, Gerald finally goes into the pits.
I think that's evidence that Gerald was indeed listening to the stream and realized, oh wait, I haven't stopped yet. There we go.
He clearly just forgot to stop. So that releases Alan into the lead. Valeside will likely be in a clear second place. And with Svi another nearly 40 seconds behind, Gerald will probably come out in a very tidy third place.
I think it will be very comfortable third place. He will be on as little fuel as he can get away with to get to the end of the race, and his tires will be fresh, much fresher than the rest of the GT3 field. As a result, I think he will be very happily staying in that third place. And Valeside will have to, well, I think I want to say Valeside will have to push. The gap is currently over 30 seconds according to the timing. In any case, it's going to be a big gap to Alan to make up. Of course, Alan's tires being much older, so later on that should come towards him. We'll have to see how much and if that is going to be enough.
Another quick note, Ultimate Kaiser on the same lap that Fennec went a bit wide, set a 2-minute 7.2, so only a quarter of a second faster than Fennec. And RuneLink has gained on Dustin to the point where they are 5 to 5.5 seconds apart.
Yeah, that time is coming down. RuneLink really having to work for it. He is faster this stint, but it is marginal, and it's going to come down to how well these drivers can keep up their pace. And any mistake from either driver is effectively going to concede it to the other as it stands. Roman, though, at 2:08 is not what he wants to be driving, and as a result is 13-14 seconds behind RuneLink. I think he is not exactly in the conversation for the lead anymore, but anything can still happen. Strategies still haven't played out completely. And Cavalo did go into the pits earlier, so he's a pit stop out of sync for now.
Yes. We'll have to see if he gets the massive undercut again, and if he can come out, maybe even with Roman.
And I feel like Cavalo will have a big case of the what ifs after this race.
Yes,
well, what if
big case.
My undercut was clean? What if I didn't make those small mistakes? And we're gonna have to see. And hopefully this time he will have another shot at a clean undercut. And if it works for him, it could work wonders. Because yeah, I think it was ahead of Kaiser before he stopped. Round about there.
He
Fennec
was,
is-
yes.
Yeah, Fennec is going to
No,
be
he
the
was
target.
actually ahead of Fennec.
Okay, well,
Although
it's
not by a massive amount.
going to be trying to pull a gap to Fennec then. And if Roman is struggling due to his tires, he might have an outside shot of battling Roman.
Yeah, Roman having lost 2 seconds that last lap compared to his previous laps, and compared to Dustin. So he is, and potentially having made another mistake, as he appears to have dropped from 22 to 24 seconds behind very quickly. So maybe another error.
I think he's got a case of the square tires. Maybe he's
think
locked
so.
up one too many times, and the tires got to a point where one of the tires has such a big flat spot that every time you brake, it just lands there and it sits there, and you're gonna increase how flat that spot is. So I think he will be coming in very soon. He doesn't look to be having any grip anymore. And yeah, we're gonna see where he comes out with respect to Cavallor. It will be very early for him, and that's the problem, because he will probably have to stop again before the end of the race, or run out of fuel.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Ultimate Kaiser has dropped back a little bit from Fennec. We'll see what the timings are. Yes, Roman in the pits, they get overtaken. Okay, no, so Fennec was again ever so slightly slower than Ultimate Kaiser, but not especially fast laps compared to Runelink and Dustin ahead.
Kaiser making quick work of those GT3 cars, going straight past and proceeding on his quest to overtake Fennec, which is much like the race for the lead, a slow, steady build-up.
Yeah, Cavallor comes out just ahead of Roman. So we were speaking of potentially a battle for third, and that seems rather likely, as Cavallor has managed to undercut Roman. And yeah, doesn't have to battle him to get past, as he has already got through. So
Yeah.
Roman now with potentially a shorter stint, or maybe making it to the end if he really can. Well, very different strategy, so we'll definitely try and catch up to, and likely overtake, although it depends exactly how many pit stops they're both doing. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
Well, Roman, I think this whole situation, everything combined, confirms that indeed Roman was struggling with tires. His pit stop wasn't especially long, but he was losing so much time before it. We saw him completely compromised, getting out the third sector very slowly. As a result, Cavallor not miles ahead, but he is ahead now, where he wasn't previously. So Roman will have to be careful with these tires, and it's possible he will have to stop again. Cavallor equally will probably have to stop again. So these two aren't just in a straight up fight now. And that is not what Roman really wanted to be. He was faster, he was ahead, and now he is going to have to struggle for a podium. And interestingly, the Abo with Ultimate Kaiser fighting.
Ultimate Kaiser?
Let's have a look.
No.
Oh,
Abo
they
going
were...
into the pits. What has happened?
What's up with Kaiser?
Well, what's up with Kaiser, but also what's up with the timing screen, as Abo doesn't appear to have been even close to Ultimate Kaiser. So, very interesting.
You know what? I'm not gonna judge. The timing screen can do as it likes. Kaiser was ghosted for a bit. He's back now. The track might or might not be haunted. Whatever
well,
case.
if we go back to... Oh no, Kaiser is not a ghost anymore, so it was temporarily haunted.
Yeah, Lassouz will need an exorcism after this race. But we'll worry about that later. Kaiser though, 2 minute 7s, in a big slide. Those tires are not happy anymore, and you can see.
I think someone needs to tell him that he doesn't get bonus points for style.
Well, maybe he does. I mean, he might get bonus points for pitting late though, because I think it means he has to stop one less time compared to Roman and Cavallor, and that could actually net him a position at the end of the race, or two.
Yes, very true. And that is the same with Fennec, Runelink, and Dustin if they've been doing enough fuel saving, as it's very likely to be fuel that would be the issue rather than tyres. But, again, they may have to pit one less time, even if they have to do a lot of fuel saving. So even if they drop back, probably not, like with Cafalor and Roman having to pit again, they'll gain effectively all of that time back.
Yeah, Runelink into the pits already. Will be, well, I say already, I think that's about the right time, but undercutting Dustin as a result. That's going to be what he's trying. Keys are also coming in.
Ultimate K's are also coming in, putting Fennec up to second place. Does anyone else come in? It doesn't appear so. Cafalor and Roman. Well, Roman appears to have gained a lot on Cafalor, although we can't currently see the times. And Cafalor is coming in again.
Why is he
so
floating?
AMS2 things, don't question it.
I'm really bothered by the fact that he's floating. It's like he's still being picked up by the pit crew. That is okay. Yeah. You know what? That is just AMS2 things. This game is
so Cafalor going for his extra pit stop at the same time as Ultimate Kaiser and Cuckoo and Runelink. So he will still have, well, maybe if he's pitting now, then maybe he has realized that he won't have fuel issues this late. So maybe what I was saying about fuel saving is not as much of a factor as we may otherwise have thought. Although I would have thought at that point that Roman would have just driven a few more laps, but I don't know, we'll have to see.
I think when you drive
Although I guess that would suggest maybe Roman doesn't need an extra pit stop.
I'm not sure. Roman will have to drive longer, and it is quite tight. 30 minutes, I think, is exactly where you would want to pit if you could do just about that length. Although Dustin, of course, pitting one lap later is still fine. Will have the undercut of Runelink to think about. He's currently in the pits, and Runelink will hopefully
we see a floating Vale side as, at least I think that's Vale side, as Nismo and Abo are having a quick little fight while trying to lap them. And is that Cuckoo as well? Yes, Cuckoo just behind as well. Although having gone a bit wide on that last corner and losing a little bit.
That's really bad for Vale side, honestly, because that loses him a bunch of time to Alan. And that is a very important fight for him. Fennec also into the pits, so gonna see he's coming out of the pits right now, Dustin. And Runelink, how far behind is he?
And coming around the first corner. He's gained a small amount, but again, it's only down to 4-ish seconds, so not enough, or not as much as he would have liked, rather.
Yeah, it's about a second or two that he has gained, which is nice, but it's maybe not as much as he would have liked.
Yeah, so Roman staying in third, so if he doesn't need to make another pit stop, this could be a pretty secure third for him. Fennec coming out of the pits, and Ultimate Kaiser appears to have lost more time, as the gap, at least from what I remember of before Ultimate Kaiser's pit stop, has got larger.
Yeah, I think Kaiser's just not comfortable with the updated cars quite yet. He's been making a couple of mistakes here and there, and the gap to Fennec, I think, is a lot bigger than he would have liked. Yes. Bo and Nismo are fighting now. It's interesting. Have both of these stopped yet? I think so, right?
I don't think so. Cuckoo stopped, so Cuckoo just behind stopped, but I don't think Nismo and Abo did. I think they were behind, but due to having not stopped yet, they have effectively gained positions over Cuckoo, Cafalor, probably not Michael, but probably Cuckoo and Cafalor.
Yes. That seems to be... Yeah, that seems to make sense. Cuckoo should be ahead of these guys, I think. They're having their own little battle, might go hand in hand into the pit lane in just a couple of moments. 25 minutes to go. We are in the last third of the race. So for a 2-stop, you can now safely stop and make it to the end in any case. There's a lot of gravel there being launched by Nismo's outside tyres. Not enough for a boat to get past.
Maybe trying to blind a bow with projectiles. Fox, if you will.
Yeah, we do have Cuckoo right behind, actually.
Yes, and Cuckoo on new tyres, so you'd expect that they don't have too difficult of a time getting past, but I'm assuming that Nismo and Abo will fight for their positions and won't let it go easily.
Well, I might not have a choice, because Cuckoo looks a lot more comfortable through just about everything. So,
yeah, a second to a second and a half faster of that last lap. So Cuckoo definitely with a big tyre advantage.
It might be a very short fight. I do think Rolink is gaining a little bit more to Dustin. Getting a little bit closer. It's hard to say. The lap time, of course, is not reflective. I'm basing it off the gaps. But I think we might be seeing them getting closer together later. But I'm mostly hoping.
Oh, Alan Fry is in the pits. So he was doing, or is doing, a 2-stop strategy. Cuckoo appears to have gone a little bit deep and has to give the position back to Abo. So that fight continues, Cuckoo looking down the inside, but doesn't appear to be going for it.
Yeah,
anyway, back so with Alan Fry, they have come out, well, due to the desync, we can't tell exactly how far behind Valeside, but a lot closer than they were previously. So the 2-stop strategy seemingly potentially very viable for at least for Alan. But maybe for the GT2s in general.
Look at that master stroke from Alan Fry there, because that, well, the gap is apparently 6, we're not sure how much. I think it's not too far off, to be honest. I don't think Alan Fry is too desynced today compared to last time.
No.
Oh, there's a really big mistake.
Going wide and spinning off, so that ends their battle.
Alan Fry will be on fresher tyres, lighter car.
Will be coming up towards Nismo.
Well, I think we need to have a look at Alan, because I think it's gonna get closer very, very quickly. And we would like to see exactly how big that gap really is.
So the floating Valeside, and that's another DPI off. But anyway, the floating Valeside, well, it says they're only 5 seconds apart, but they appear to be a lot more than that.
Yeah, it's close to 15.
Yeah, probably closer to 15, maybe 20. So that is not quite as close, but with the new tyres, from what we've seen, Alan's still in with a shot.
Absolutely, and that is something that we
and
can look
Nismo
forward
is now
to.
in the pits, so Cuckoo obviously not having any issue getting past Nismo as he just drove into the pits. And Abo surprisingly not going into the pits after their error. So, for now at least, still ahead of Nismo.
Yeah, both sticking out just a little bit longer. It's not the question if that was the right thing to do. Regardless, Nismo will have done his final stop, will not need to worry about fuel. Again, provided he's calculated it correctly. Could still be a small issue. And the lead actually, Dustin, a 2:03.6. That is insanity up in front.
Very good time. And not such a good time. Roman, 2-minute 11.4. He's dropped back to 3 seconds ahead of Fennec.
I'm not sure what happened there. I really hope he hasn't locked his tires up again, because that looks dreadful if that's the case, and that's gonna translate to slower times for the rest of the race, effectively, unless you want to stop again, which Sevius is doing, but he's last, so he doesn't have much to lose. If Roman boxes now, that's a position lost to Venice, and maybe even to Ultimate Kaiser. It's not something he wants to, I think actually definitely to Ultimate Kaiser as well.
Yeah, definitely to Ultimate Kaiser, whereas with this little time left, if he drives, even if it's on a flat-spotted tyre, he'd probably lose the position to Fennec, but maybe not to Ultimate Kaiser. So we'll have to see what he does. and if it even was a flat spot, as we're unable to see. That being said, he has done a 2:04.4, so clearly 2 minute 11 seems like a one-off.
Yes, and let's hope that is indeed the case. That is not an omen for future laps. And hopefully we're able at least to keep up with the pace of Roonink. And Fennec is getting ever closer though, so that's something he will have to worry about.
Indeed, although actually that last lap it did get slightly further away. Dustin with another 2:03, so very consistently fast laps. But Roonink 2:04.2, so not falling too far behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Really doing a decent job trying to keep up. I know he will want this win very well. He's gonna really push for it. Maybe overdo it a little bit. But yeah, Dustin, as it stands, he's driving a very professional race. Very cool-minded, keeping the car exactly where it needs to be in terms of lap time. Although at 2:04.8 looks to be a little bit on the slower side. Roonink 0.7 faster that time around. If Roonink can do that every single lap, it's over and Roonink wins. But I don't think he will. And I think Dustin knows.
Yeah, I expect Dustin to do a faster lap than that in previous laps.
Yes, exactly. So it's going to be all about who makes the last mistake, I think, between those two. They are very consistent and very fast drivers in their own right. Roman with a 2:05.6 though, which is slightly slower than Fennec behind, who can now very clearly see the diffuser of Roman in all its detail. And behind him, they don't need to worry too much about Cuckoo, who is a decent bit behind in terms of pace and time as well.
Ultimate Kaiser with a quick lap, but again, quite far back comparatively.
Yes. This is going to be hard for Kaiser to still catch up. They're running out of time, only 17 minutes left. Translates to, well, let's say about 8 laps. It's going to be difficult for Kaiser to make up that much time in 8 laps, I think. It's all going to be about keeping it consistent, accepting the position where you are in, not doing too many crazy things that try to push your cars beyond what they are capable of, and then just bring it home. It's a long race, so people will start to feel a little bit fatigued at this point. As it stands, though, he's just a little bit too far away. Look at the front of the GT3. Alan Fry set a 2:16.4 to 2:16.0 before that. He is slightly faster than Veilside. The pace gap is actually a lot smaller than I expected.
Yeah, same. I expected it to be. Well, I expected Alan to be doing a similar time to what he currently is, or maybe ever so slightly faster. But really, I think it's Veilside who's been doing consistent 2:16s despite having much more worn tyres.
Yeah, and it appears to be like almost an entire camel straight between these two still. That is going to be tough for Alan to make up. It's going maybe to run out of time. If the race was like a little bit longer, it could have maybe caught up easily. Now it's going to be very close between the two.
Yeah, unless Veilside's tyres drop off a lot more towards the end, then this might look a little bit too little too late for Alan.
Yeah, it's very possible, and I think the only way we're going to find out is to see what happens. 15 minutes until we figure out what is going on between these two. Alan looks quite comfortable though. Looking at it, how he drives, it's very smooth, it's very stable, nothing crazy. See, no slides, no lockups, just keeping the tires as good as they are and extracting as much pace as he can out of these cars. see what else we got in the GT3 class. A lot of people are currently spread out wide a little bit.
Yes.
Gaps being a bit, like 20, 15 seconds, a bit bigger. So people have found their spot and are just bringing it home from there. The only battle that could happen is, of course, for the lead, which we will be keeping you updated on.
Yeah, indeed, at this point, it does appear that the DPIs as a whole are a lot closer, at least in terms of groups of them, than the entirety of the GT3 field.
Yeah, but even then, I feel like the Fennec set a slightly slower lap time than Kiers, and Roman was even slower than that. So maybe those are getting together a little bit, but otherwise I think people are sorted on pace relatively well. Winning and Dustin always matching each other there again. A very stable.
They've been doing that lap after lap. Yeah.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be too much movement. It could just change. Whoever's less kind on the tires, and knowing both of these drivers, I feel like Runelink's gonna have to struggle a little bit for pace later. He just sometimes extract things out of nowhere. Dustin, though, very strong race so far, and looking to keep that lead as it stands. It's not over until it's over.
Not just, but also in the
On the upside, with Runelink keeping Dustin honest,
yes.
it's not quite a Verstappen, is it?
No, not quite. We've got very competitive drivers in these cars, at least. I think it does seem to change a little bit per car, and I think also the update has shaken things up again. The tires are behaving completely differently on every single car. So we've got a lot of things have resorted themselves a little bit. I think Kiers is not quite as comfortable with this update as with the previous one. We'll also see it actually in the race of tomorrow. There will be a Formula V10 League finale actually on the channel of Nismo.
Indeed.
That will also be the first and only one on the new update. So the whole
Indeed,
could be
Nismo,
different.
who is Nismo streaming the finale at what's it called in this game? It's not Suzuka. It's
Kansai.
Yeah, Kansai.
The Kansai prefecture, I believe.
Yeah.
That Suzuka's located in.
And indeed, Nismo has also been streaming his perspective of this race, but it won't be as good, and there's no commentary. So unless you want to, unless any SSR guys want to spy on him, then then just stay here.
I mean, I would recommend it, but I doubt that we'll get too much information from P9. Dustin will be interested in what Runelink is currently doing, if he's saving fuel, things like that. Although, judging by the pace, I doubt that Runelink is doing that.
Yeah, and bear in mind that Roman has not pitted. That would indicate that it's at least possible for him to do a stint that's a good 5 minutes longer than expected.
True. But I'll have to be careful. Saw what happened last race, and I doubt he wants a repeat of that. I don't think anyone's waiting for that.
DNFing on the last lap. Effectively 1 corner to go. That's not a good way to end your race.
Yeah, don't do two races in a row at least. Like, doing it once is bad enough.
Yeah.
It looks a bit silly, especially because we'll catch it on stream. 2 races in a row would be devastating.
Can't escape with something that big.
No. Fennec currently 3 seconds behind Roman according to the timing sheets.
Alan going a little wide there. I was about to say that he had made it so that the timing screens were roughly matching, meaning that all of the difference is desync. But Mr. Floating Veil side is a good way ahead.
Yeah, apparently the desync is half of Sector 3. Make of that what you will. MS2 is a bit crazy like that sometimes. Still,
it's either the desync or Veil side has activated his special ability to fly above the racetrack. I assume that's not just me seeing that.
It might actually be you seeing that, because mine is attached to the ground.
Okay, yeah, for me he is very well hovering about 10-20 centimeters above the racetrack.
I think that could be cheating, because he's not using his tires then, right?
Yeah, exactly. It saves with tire wear.
Yeah,
But,
it's legal.
Yeah, wasn't the best time to switch to Alan, but they appear to be roughly 1 camel straight apart.
Yeah, that's
It's
how
a
we're
good
going to
unit
measure
of
things.
measurement. Yeah.
The Americans should be adopting that instead of a mile would do a camel straight.
Well, no, the Americans have cheeseburgers per bald eagle. Most people have meters.
They could
but
do,
then the Belgians clearly have camel straights.
True, but the Belgians also have sensible units of measurement, so I don't think they will be
Yes.
switching. But we might convince the Americans to switch to Indianapolis as a distance measure.
Yeah, maybe that'd be an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, I think we can do this.
That's not close.
Veilside actually, it looks like he's faster on this lap compared to Alan, and that's surprising given that Alan should be a lot lighter and on fresher tires.
Well, at this point in the race, I don't think they'll be any lighter, as they'll have fueled to the point where they can make it to the end of the race.
Well, yeah, you
However,
are
they
right.
should have much fresher tires.
You are absolutely right. That's correct. Yeah, Alan should be much fresher on the tires then, but he's not showing it right now, not reaping the benefit of it. Gerald Smith is a very, very comfortable P3. We'll be very happy to come home in that position.
Nice bronze medal.
Yeah, and deserved as well. In the lead, Dustin doing a 2:05.0, ruining a 2:04.5.
I have also noticed that Svi, who was originally in P4, must have made a mistake at some point, as they have dropped a minute or a minute and a half ish from Gerald.
I think it boxed, just.
Yeah, probably. I just missed it.
I think I spotted it and then neglected to say it, so I let you into that one. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think he just boxed. It will be very fresh tires, maybe going for the fastest lap. I don't know. Maybe he likes to do that. On Friday we go with 2:17.0. Not exactly what he wants to be doing. He needs to be fast in the
No.
Veilside and not struggling to keep up on lap time. Seems to be decently settled there, maybe. Veilside. Hopefully his tires will hold up, though. If he's been pushing them too hard, he starts locking them up. He could swing very quickly. Fennec, very close to Roman, is that correct?
Yes, yes, that is correct. They've got another second closer since the start of this lap. So, Roman definitely losing a lot of time to Fennec.
Is Roman going on trial for destroying tires? Because
Yeah, either
losing a lot
destroying
of pace.
tyres or realising that they do need to fuel save a little, as they have consistently set 2-minute 6s, which you would expect Roman to be able to do significantly faster than that.
yes, I think that's a fair analysis. And either situation with the tires or the fuel might be enough to box anyway, even though you're close to the end of the race. There's I believe Veilside that they are overtaking.
Yes, they are.
Roman will be sweating bullets at this point.
Interestingly enough, the gap between Dustin and RuneLink staying rather stable. A lap or so ago, RuneLink was half a second quicker. The last lap, he was half a second slower. So very well matched. Although RuneLink appears to have gained a few tenths so far on this lap.
Okay, going the right way for him then, but a few tenths in 5 minutes is not going to be enough, I'm afraid. So,
No,
it's gonna have
it
to
won't.
pull a rabbit out of a proverbial hat somewhere.
Whereas for Fennec, a few tenths in 5 minutes could be enough.
It should be possible. It should be
Yes.
very much possible. And it's all about if Roman is going to keep the car under control. And there's also a GT3 ahead to
Yes,
overtake.
that would be Svi, I think. The previous time they had to lap was very unfortunate for Fennec, as he had to wait for Valeside to go through the last chicane. But here, Svi getting out the way and letting the two DPIs through to keep their battle going.
Yes, and no harm for either driver there, Fennec. Still
Yeah,
very
very
close
clean.
to the tail.
Very clean from Svi, very clean from the two DPI drivers.
All he had to do was completely miss Poulon. But yeah, that
Yes.
works out very well, to be fair. A very good way of doing it.
Well, he managed to get as close to missing it without actually leaving the track. So that's almost impressive.
That is pretty autistic, I would say. It actually looks like Alan Fry has gained a decent amount to Valeside. I feel like the gap is
Yes.
currently shrinking.
It is currently shrinking, but with the size of the gap, 3.5 minutes left, that does not look promising for Alan.
Alan's gonna have to hope that the Valeside's tires have just jumped off Mount Everest and are starting to fall out.
And there is
You see a
someone
GT3.
spun in the background. I have no idea who it is. It seems to be a DPI.
It might have been a McLaren actually, I'm not sure who that would be. Fennec very close behind a Roman up Eau Rouge. Actually, this could be a chance for him. And they, like one car come out of Radion onto the Camel
Very
Straight.
close.
Roman going defensive. It goes back to the racing line. Fennec on the inside then. Is he going to be able to outbrake Roman? And does look to be the case. He is ahead going into Lecombe, but needs to leave space for Roman. Roman's still there, but it's not going to be enough. And Fennec overtakes Roman and takes a podium position.
Indeed he does. Goes a little bit deep and a big drift. So far keeping the place though.
Both drivers are struggling a little bit with the tyres. The grip is starting to go a little bit.
And as you were saying that Alan Fry was gaining on Valeside, he has now dropped 4 seconds further back.
I would like to apologise.
It happens.
I didn't mean to do this. No, unfortunate. Yeah, of course. I think it's also like if you start to get close, if you start to see that you have extra pace, it can be very, can be a lot of pressure on your shoulders as well. As Fennec is running away with it from Roman. Roman, I think,
3 seconds the gap now.
I think Roman is being put on trial for destroying tires today. This
Very
hasn't
possible.
gone very well.
At this rate, they'll fall back to Ultimate Kaiser. Although, probably too late for Ultimate Kaiser to actually get a move done.
I think they'll still have 3 laps to go. Something like that. Next time Dustin's going to cross the line, it's
think
not going to be ending the race.
No, it will be probably with Warriors on track now. I would guess this lap +1.
Yes.
So if we go back, yeah, Fennec has pulled away a lot, and Ultimate Kaiser now staring at the back of Roman's car.
Ooh, and that's going to be interesting because Roman's
Roman
tires,
with a
I
very
think,
slow lap, very well maybe fuel saving with how slow they've gone, because
that's
that's
also
a
possible.
lot more than even tires would suggest.
Yeah, you're right actually, and judging by where he lost so much time, I think that was on the third sector, but there's not so many corners, there's only a straight, and straights do not eat into tires.
No.
So I think you might be right, this could be a fuel saving measure, Roman being one of the first of the DPIs to make the last pit stop, and I think it may have been a little bit too soon. May have to park the car and wait for Dustin to pass to make it to the end.
Well, if they did that, they'd lose too many spots. So, possible, but if they can make it to the end without without stopping completely. I think they'd like to at least try.
Yeah, absolutely. He's still trying to defend a little bit from Kaiser, but I don't think it's gonna matter too much. Because Kaiser's gonna be able to shoot by.
As GT3 decides, oh, this is my time on the stream, I am going to drive into the gravel.
Comedy background character.
So side by side they go. Ultimate Kaiser on the outside of Blanchimont, but will then have the inside into the bus stop. And Roman running in very wide, but yeah, Ultimate Kaiser overtaking, but they were both off the track.
So the Max Verstappen line right there.
Yeah, well, Max Verstappen plus, as he didn't even effectively, he ran him out of road, and then some, and then didn't even keep the position. So Roman now in the pits, so has given up on fuel saving. Probably should have pitted earlier, if I'm honest, but deciding that it wasn't worth risking it and giving Ultimate Kaiser the position.
Yeah, Ultimate Kaiser now in P4. I think we'll be happy to finish there in the end. Fennec had a very good race today, so P3 is very nice for him. Why are we looking at this?
Well, because apparently it takes 5 years for them to go up Radeon. Interesting. Because that was indeed the Radeon trackside camera, and it just took ages. I don't know.
It was focused on Kaiser, right? But Kaiser was already past it. I think he missed it.
Yeah. I don't know if it broke or what, because he went past it and it stayed on the camera. Like, AMS2, answer, please.
I mean, regardless, Dustin comes home in P1 and wins the race. There's some not safe for work action going on there. Running taking P2 and Fennec will be coming home in P3. Let's look at Veilside, see where the GT3 cars are, but I think Veilside has already maybe finished? Not yet.
No. They are ahead of Califor, or being lapped by Califor, rather. Alan Fry?
I think it's too far back. I think it's going to be a very nice victory for Veilside today.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out if Alan Fry had finished, but I don't think they have. You would have to go back to... maybe not even Gerald. Maybe Gerald has finished as well. In which case it would be Emil, who is a long way off.
Yes. Veilside will be cruising towards a very well-fought GT3 victory. And very deserved. I think he's the only repeat winner. Dustin, of course, was in GT3's last time. Today in the DPI, he's shown absolute dominance. New update suiting him very well with a 204.9 actually at the end.
Definitely not as dominant as last week though. As Veilside after, well, probably the first 15 minutes was extremely dominant last week. This week round, Alan Fry keeping him honest and giving him a good run for his money.
Absolute a good challenge from Alan there, but
or in this case, lack of money, as they do not win anything for finishing in any position.
Yeah, they get nothing from us. But yeah, Alan celebrating by causing a massive concussion.
Massive collision, yeah.
But yeah, Alan keeping him honest, bringing the challenge to Veilside. In the end, it was not enough. Congratulations to Veilside, Alan Fry P2, and Gerald Smith a very deserved P3. Yeah, I think we've got very strong drivers in the top two, and then P3 very... P3 is... I think they've had very good races. Cuckoo actually with a big penalty, but Roman also with a penalty. Maybe for track limits or speeding. And I would like to have an interview with our winners.
Yeah, hopefully. If more of them join us.
Yeah, I'll message Dustin first. I want the winner of the DPI class under our microphones. Well, behind our microphones, so we don't hold them over them. I guess that is microphones that exist. So Let's go into. I think what they normally do with Nismo Stream is they look at one of these cars. Actually, let's find Dustin's car while I wait for a response from him. Which car was he in? It wasn't I think this one. That will be the Winners Cadillac DPI VR. A very beautiful car at that. Yeah, Dustin says he will be joining us voluntarily. We don't need to pull him in.
No one knew that.
That's my conclusion from what he said. So just a quick moment and we'll have Dustin in.
Huh, I find it interesting that Runlink is under the British flag in Triple Crown. Also,
That's
hello,
fake.
Dustin. Very well driven.
And
Hello.
you are greeted by my cat.
Hello, Dustin's cats.
Yeah. It's next
Yeah,
So how was your race today? It looked quite dominant to us, but maybe not so much from your perspective. How was it?
No, it was a bit easier in the middle stint, but in the last stint, I lost a lot during traffic. So after my first pit stop, it was 10 seconds to Rune Lake, and after the last, it was only 3. So it was kind of hectic not to lose another 3 seconds, which I did in the middle stint to him during traffic. But in the end, it all went fine, and yeah, really happy.
Yeah, congratulations. It was a very hard-fought battle. What I'm going to be interested in is actually last time you were in the GT3 car, so it's maybe not as easy of a comparison. The last race was done in the 1.4.8, I think, update. This is the 1.5 update. The cars will be different. How did they feel?
A lot better. I tested also the GT3s for Porsche, to be exact, and you get so much more response through the tire, suspension, and so on. So much more input you have. So everything is more alive. So this is definitely a step forward, especially with GT3 cars, which needed something like this.
That's very good to hear. And I also happen to know that the new update does a lot to tire wear. For instance, if you lock up, you will start to feel it very quickly. How was that to manage this race? Was it a big problem?
It was a problem in the first stint when all the GT3s were very near each other. I had a lockup like 6-7 minutes before my first pit stop, and this really affected me in left-hand corners. So on the fast corner, I think Buon or whatever it's called, this was a really hard corner with this. But I think Runening may have had the same problem because he wasn't gaining there. So I don't know, but it wasn't a problem in the next 2 stints because I had to be really careful.
All right, then it's good that the next few stints were all right. So you learn on the job, I guess. Maybe any questions from Trouble?
I guess what sort of like radiator and downforce settings were people on?
I was actually driving my qualification lap on downforce in front 2 and on the rear 1. In the race, I drove 2-2.
And then, was there like any sort of strategy with regards to radiators, or was it just like do as much as doesn't blow the engine or something?
I had it on, I think, 70%, and at the end, I had like 4% engine damage, so it was completely
okay. Yeah, so relatively safe for you then.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't want to take much off on the cooling. So yeah, it was all fine.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I was just effectively wondering how much people were willing to risk with the setup to improve their times.
A funny thing is, I actually used, for the most part, the time trial setup of Roman.
Oh,
For the most
interesting.
part. I changed a few things here and there, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good. Looked like a very professional
don't
drive
know.
today. And if there's no more questions from Trouble,
No, I do not have any.
alright, then it's time to chill a little bit, because this was the last race of the Triple Crown events. We've had, of course, started with what was the Formula One cars. Did one around Killarney, Monaco. Then the Indy cars we did Indianapolis, and another one that I completely forgot. Of course, this was the endurance portion of this event. What is next for SSR?
Yeah, next we have the test races of the Formula One Championship, the Grand Prix Classics. And in these races, we will find out which car will suit the next season best. So, for example, maybe next week, I have to look into my calendar if I can make next week real or possible instead of in 2 weeks. So next week we might drive the 1998 Formula One cars. So it is an MS2 Formula Classic Gen 2. So with the MP4 4 from Senna, 2 weeks after this, or maybe 1 week after this, we will drive the 1991 cars, then the 1997 cars, and then 2012. And 95 I also forgot. So we will test whichever Formula One car will be best for the next season, and this car will be driven.
It's like a mini series of events, in fact, to select a car for a another F1 season. Will be very
Yes.
interesting. And of course, Tuesday we've got the finale of the Classic Day Championship.
Is it next Tuesday or in 2 weeks?
Is it? Well,
I think
actually,
2 weeks it is,
okay, it's in 2 weeks. Okay, good to know.
because we had it this week.
Yeah. Of course, the same day that you had that race, the update dropped, but only after you started the race.
Yeah, exactly. A bit unfortunate, but okay, yeah.
And it happens. All right, that sounds very exciting. So still a lot of racing going on in SSR. If you want to be part of that, do join the club. And yeah, I think that's it for our stream unless we can. I think most people have already left the drivers chat. It was a very good day for SSR drivers, winning I think both both the DPI event and the GT3 event. I think that wraps up our stream today. If you have been watching, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to Trouble for co-commentating and managing all the cameras.
Okay, sacrificing balance.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. And thanks to Dustin for the interview, but also for organizing, along with Alan, this wonderful series of races that we've had. I'll see you in 2 weeks on a Tuesday. Well, a little over a week actually on a Tuesday. We'll wrap up the Classic Day events. And we'll see you then.